Your TV is watching you, and here you just thought you were watching your TV. Well, now it's a two-way relationship that you didn't ask for. Welcome to Legitimate Cybersecurity. My name is Frank Downs, and as always, I'm here with Dr. Dustin Brewer, and today we're talking about automatic content recognition. So, if you look at TVs today, they're cheaper than ever, and there's more of
Mhm.
them than ever. You don't even have to watch commercials anymore. You can just keep changing around and looking at whatever you want. And all of the big industries know it. And now they're actually taking advantage of it, and most people don't understand how they're doing that. Think of automatic content recognition, which is what it's called, ACR. So we'll use that from here on out as shorthand for something that's like Shazam, but for your television. You know Shazam, Dustin, where you hear a cool
I
song,
do.
you pull it out, and you press the button.
I use it all
Funny
the time.
enough, that used to be not, that's now owned by Apple. And they only bought it, I think, after Google had that passive capability. Remember on the phones in 2017? I think you got one of the first ones, like Pixel 2, where you could
I
just
still
have it
got it
out.
on my phone. It's great. I love it
It's,
because I'm like, "What's this song?" I'll just pull it up, and it's always listening.
yeah,
And I guess that's cybersecurity and privacy terrible, but
but it's still
now I know
cool.
whatever song is playing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, talk about cybersecurity terrible. ACR is even worse. What it's doing is, as you're watching things on TV, it is taking screenshots periodically and then cross referencing them with a huge set of databases that have other screenshots as well. These screenshots work in a couple different ways. First, they use them as fingerprints if they see something similar to another image that's in the database. But they also include sometimes these little invisible barcode like the tags as well that only can be seen by the ACR. Now, if you're thinking in this case, which one do they use? The answer is both at this point, regardless of what you're using. And here's what's most interesting. People like to disable, I have smart TVs and so forth, and
Mhm.
you do too, but I do not use the actual apps in the smart TV because they
No.
usually suck,
Yeah, they're
right?
terrible.
So I actually use the an Apple TV, and I've got NVIDIA as in the NVIDIA box as well. I use a video game system and stuff. I always use something else that's connected through my HDMI cable. People may think that this will stop their TV from taking images. Well, no. It's not just the apps that are on the TV that are taking images. It's taking images of everything. So even if you think you're using your smart TV as a dumb setup, that's not necessarily the case. And Dustin, I wanted to ask you, we've seen a lot of different capabilities for monitoring here. Do you feel how do you feel about this on a scale of 1 to 10? We've seen some pretty invasive stuff, especially lately, right? Where do you think this falls as far as things that people should be concerned about as far as an invasion of privacy? Is it an invasion of privacy if you're allowing it to happen? What are your thoughts?
Scale of 1 to 10, that's a tough one because I think it depends on what you do on your smart TV. Most people are just watching TV, right? So who cares? Like, they're gonna see that I like watching this show or that show. People have had Nielsen boxes for a while if you opt into it, obviously. And in which case you could see, what a person was watching when they were watching and all that kind of good stuff. That was for rating purposes. Now they don't even need Nielsen boxes, they can just use this capability. Um, so as far as that goes, I don't I don't see it for me, and I think this is like one thing that we always try to talk about in cybersecurity, but never can truly get across very well is that risk appetite is personal to a person and also to, tailored to an organization, right? And so what are we willing to put up with? What are we willing to say like, "Oh, we'll give this information away, that's fine." And so for me, again, I use my smart TV. Mostly nowadays, it's playing things like Gabby's Dollhouse or My Little Pony. I'm not watching anything really cool or anything like that.
First of all, Gabby's Dollhouse is awesome,
It is
right?
awesome. I'm gonna go along with that.
I mean, I'm more of a Bluey fan, but
We
over
Bluey
here at our
too.
house, yeah.
My Little Pony, the new generation, love it. Gotta say, love it.
Really?
Anyway,
I haven't
I
seen it
think
yet.
I don't know if I'm a brony now or not, but I'm not that quite that far down the rabbit hole.
We'll
But
find out in the comments. That's for
we'll
sure.
we'll find out in the comments, and also maybe my smart TV can tell me if I'm a brony or not at this point, by looking at all my information. But so like that to me is like okay, they know that my daughter likes watching these cartoons. They know that after my daughter goes to sleep, we rewatch Schitt's Creek or The Office or some sitcom that is for an hour, and then we go to bed. If that's like a pattern of life builder, sure, maybe. If bad guys were able to get a hold of this, they would know when to break into our house, I guess. And more importantly, like maybe this is the beginnings of building a footprint of behaviors, right? And that's, as we found out, we've always been like, oh, who cares if they know about our behaviors? And then we've seen things like Cambridge Analytica happen, and now we're seeing even more divisive algorithms out there on the internet that are pointing everybody to their own echo chamber. I keep doing that. Echo chamber. So what do you think, Frank? Like how, like for you, how, what's the scale here?
So I think it's subjective. Okay. And I say that because it's contextual and how invasive it is, because they're not just taking these images and they're not just interested in what you're watching, right?
Mhm.
Because first, let's take a look at this. There's a few different things that are happening. They're identifying what you watch. Okay. They're corroborating that now,
Mhm.
that data set with other data sets, such as your phone. So if you have your phone out, great example. You see a Cadillac commercial. I don't know why I'm using Cadillac. I don't own Cadillacs and I'm not in the market for a Cadillac. Let's be honest. But you see a
We're gonna get
Cadillac.
sued by Cadillac now.
You,
Thank you, Frank.
no, we're not. No, we're
Cadillac
not.
doesn't watch this.
Yeah.
Nobody
No,
from
no.
Cadillac.
Yeah. No. Anyway, I say it because I was forced to watch too many Cadillac commercials. Bro, have you gone to the movies lately? Have you gone to the movies and just tried to watch the movie? And like, you get there, and if you get there even on time now to watch the movie, they don't start the trailers until 5 minutes after the start time because they're showing you commercials still.
Yes.
And someone either in the projector booth or someone went wrong. I had to watch the same Cadillac commercial. I'm not kidding. 5 times
Oh my
in
god.
about 10, I'd say 7 minutes. We got there like
I
two
would have
minutes before
left.
it started. Well, very frustrating, but like, that we wanted to see this robot beaver cartoon with the Hoppins and stuff, right? But like, you get to the movie and you just factor in a half hour before to actually see the actual film you've come to see, by the way. But like I say, so I'm using it's nuts. You can't go to the movies anymore and just watch. You can't even, and I like some trailers, don't get me wrong. I didn't have a problem with that, but so many, and they're intentionally
And
telling you the wrong time to show you more ads is
right. And so not only
bullshit.
that too, I'm gonna go off on this too now with you. If you show up, sometimes if you show up like, 10, 15 minutes into when the start time is, they won't sell you a ticket, even if there are spaces,
Dude, we
because
have
they're
a
like, well, we
theater
didn't
here
get our
that'll,
pound of flesh out of you.
yeah, we have a theater here that'll lock the doors.
Yes. It's
Well,
it's
you can't get
insane to
in
me.
if it's not at the right time of when they expect people to come in for the movies. And I'm like, that's meant like people can't get in. People get out, but they can't get back in. And I think, imagine you left something in the car.
Yeah. Like, anyway, okay,
No,
that's sorry.
sorry.
Cadillac.
Anyway, so
We can go
you
off on
watch
this
an
for
ad like
another
a
hour.
Cadillac. They are now corroborating the information on your phone to see if you then looked up Cadillacs on your phone to measure the efficacy of that ad. And they're selling that to whoever wants that information, be it General Motors or anyone else who might think you're interested in a car, anyone. This combined with the IP address information, and you and I know how they use this, and probably our listeners too, all 12 of them. But like, they're corroborating this information to build a profile on us that includes our IP address. They can figure out roughly where we live with geolocation. They can figure out what zip code that is, get closer than just the zip code, and then combined with the cell phone information, that gives you a much better connection. Maybe they get your name, but even if they don't get your name, they can figure out probably your age based off what you're watching, your probable age, your probable demographic as far as ethnicity, your income bracket, and things
Mhm.
like that. I mean, if someone sees, we'll use Cadillac again. If someone came to me and showed me a Porsche commercial, and I will even say Cadillac commercial, and I see it, but then I don't look it up on my phone because you know why? Can't really afford it,
Afford it, yeah.
right? But if you are looking at it, maybe you can afford it. So it gives them a better idea there. So I think in and of itself, one could make the argument that this ACR capability is this automatic content recognition that is on TVs is not necessarily a negative, but it's the context that matters here, right? I mean, I keep pointing out the Star Trek episode that's called Context is for Kings, right? Because the people in charge of these data sets are the ones really in charge that are seeing everything and knowing everything, proving that knowledge is power. And so it's frustrating. And the thing that kind of irks me a bit is it's really hard to get it to stop too. They're using things like, what's it called? Dark windows, dark ads. When you try to opt out and they are hiding, they hide like the opt out button in dark
Oh,
lettering.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. I know what you're talking about. I don't know if that
I'm
that's
gonna
good.
look it up real
That's a good
quick.
explanation of it though. But yes, yes, when you look on the site and it's the same color as the background, the text is the same color as the background or whatever to opt out.
Yeah, yeah, dark posts. They're calling them
Dark
dark
posts.
posts, right? Um, they're using dark posts to intentionally mislead you. They're signing you up by burying things under EULAs, and then turning it off is very difficult. And then even
Yes.
when you turn it off, there's other collection mechanisms. Bro, do you remember that TV that Microsoft, I guess Meta now, tried to sell for a while as it was like either a TV or just the camera part that you connect to your TV. And what it would do, you'd use Facebook Messenger to talk to other people, and it would be like they are on the TV and the camera's right there, so they can see into your living room, and it's like you can have conversations in living rooms. Great idea, right? I would love, especially for like certain generation of older renown. All right, but you now have the TV with the
Mhm.
ACR, and you have a camera that can see you, a microphone that can listen to you, and AI enough to observe you to a measure of efficacy that can give them the most rich information about you ever.
Yes. So
And
this yeah. That's where I see the biggest issue here, right? Is TVs that do have built-in cameras, which nowadays are few and far between. However, that used to be a lot. There used to be a
yeah,
lot of TVs
oh,
that
it's
came
gotten
with
worse
built-in
now. I'll
cameras.
wait. You keep going. I'll tell you how it's worse now. Keep
Yeah,
going. Keep
I
going.
think I might know where we're gonna go with that. But
Yeah.
yeah, so and honestly, one of my guilty pleasures is watching paranormal videos on YouTube where people are like, "Oh my gosh, this thing moved." You know, I like sitting there and debunking them and being like, "Okay, the wind blew," you know, or whatever it was. But there was this one where this guy was like, "I don't think this is really paranormal, but you know, it's still creepy." And it was a man like walking into his room. He was watching like streaming YouTube or something, and it was a smart TV, and it did have a camera on it, and there was just a woman staring back on the TV. And then when he walked in the room, she tracked him with her eyes.
Nope.
And yep. And he talked
Unsubscribe.
to her and she kind of responded to it. And I was like, oh man, that's not paranormal by any stretch of the imagination, but it is very cybersecurity normal. Like I can kind of see that happening. There's a new one out there. I couldn't find that one specifically, but there's a new one out there on TikTok, and I'm hesitant to talk about it because it there is some offensive language that is used throughout the video. Let's just put it
My
that way.
precious ears.
But this guy was basically, he was like, "Look," he's like, "I can see somebody looking at me through my TV," and there was a picture of a man with a headset and a microphone in a corner of his TV that was like looking at him and moving, and it looked like he was like gaming or something like that. He's like, "I'm trying to sleep," and this guy is like watching me. He's like, "This guy's
Bro was
watching."
just streaming Twitch. Had to be streaming.
That it kind of looked like that, but also like he was like, my TV was off, like I didn't, you know, like he kind of gives a little bit of an explanation of it. It's still creepy, right? And that's where like, okay, now we've crossed the line here at this point. If you do have a TV built in, or I'm sorry, camera built into your TV, then what are we at now? Now uh I want to hear where you want to go though. I want to I'll throw it over to you here on this.
Forget the TV anymore, right? No, none of that matters, right? Because it came out this week, and I meant to talk to you about it earlier. Book Meta is really concerned because of the new glasses they've been making. And
Yes,
did
I
you
did see that.
know many of
Yeah.
the pictures that people take, they all go and have human review, I guess. A bunch of
Yep.
them. I don't know if it's all. I'm sure it's like a
Yeah, I'm
sampling.
sure it's like an audit process, 1% or something like that. Yeah.
But some people are getting real concerned with the stuff
Mhm.
they're seeing, like
Yes.
bathroom trips, maybe like some violence, things like that. Like, is it? Here's a question: Is it whose responsibility is it if Meta auditors see from someone's camera lens that a potential crime is being committed? Should they report that? And and also though, who's the idiot recording their crimes with glasses?
I
Come
am
on.
not a lawyer. I am not a
Nope.
lawyer.
That was a
I wouldn't
question for last week.
Yeah,
Whoops.
we should we should have asked the cyber lawyer we
Should
had
ask
on.
Kate.
But look, I think, there might be a responsibility, at least in the United States, where if they see harm being done, they have to report it. Now, whether that's, like, okay or not is all in the end user agreement, right? If you hit the "I accept" and it was, "Hey, we do have some of these go to the auditor, blah, blah, blah." Sometimes you're Your pictures and your photos will be reviewed, then that's on the person then because they knew about it. They hit accept, and now, which is it's just a
Imagine that hack.
shitty situation for everybody involved. It really is.
Imagine that hack though, dude. Imagine that.
Oh
What was
yeah.
it?
Oh yeah.
2014 with the iCloud hack, what they call it, the fattening or whatever,
Yep.
where
Oh
they
yeah.
got all of those poor actresses, like all of their photos.
Oh my
This is
goodness.
this is like the treasure trove of that, but so much worse.
Yes.
So much worse.
Because it can be live if like it depends on how they hack it, right? And so like some of the reports I was reading was people like putting their glasses down and then going to take a shower, but like the the camera was pointed at the shower, like accidentally like pointed at the shower. So the person wasn't even wearing the glasses, but still got, nudes out there now going to Facebook. So that's a concern, right? Now the thing about it is when you sign that user agreement, you are signing a user agreement. I'm not saying that it's not shady. I'm not saying that it's right. But what I am saying is that it is there and they have higher priced lawyers than I do.
Oh yeah.
So they are who are reviewing those things and saying, here's what you can say, here's what you can't say. They also have high priced lobbyists who are, trying to get privacy laws either not made at all or changed so that they can continue to do these things. And you know, not that I'm against big business or anything like that, having lobbyists or any of that kind of stuff, but this is a problem that needs to be addressed. And we're just going to see more of it if it just keeps kind of going down the same pathway. Anyway, so that's my take on it. The place I thought you were going to go with this, Frank, is when I was diving down the rabbit hole trying to find the video of the woman who was looking at the man, like, and tracking her with his eyes. There are people out there who believe that there are pixel-sized cameras in most smart TVs. Don't think that's correct. I
Prove
think
it.
that might be more of a conspiracy theory, and I'm not trying to spread conspiracy theories by even saying
Are these the
this.
same people that thought dentists put radios in teeth?
Probably, probably. I'm just saying though, like there are some pretty quick things you can do to check to make sure that that you don't have a camera on your monitors. For the most part, though, smart TVs that are made today do not have cameras on it, and I think this is maybe one of the main reasons because it's like there's so much liability that kind of goes into it, right? Even Meta's having a problem with their Meta glasses. Also, they don't really need it anymore because we got these.
Yeah.
I have like 8 cameras on this thing right now, right? Which is like just at any given moment, it's probably pointing in any direction. And if you really want to get in to see what's going on in a house, you can.
Did you also see, because you're talking about we're not lawyers, which I cannot stress enough, we are not lawyers. We are so not lawyers. But did you see it was this week that what is it? It's an insurance company, I think, is suing OpenAI because they're saying it practiced law. It
Yes.
practiced law without a law degree in helping a woman challenge her case that she got rejected. I think she even got it opened back up. It helped reopen the case. They ended up spending $300,000 in lawyer fees to go
Yes.
after her.
I
And
did see that. I thought that was awesome. It was citing cases that didn't exist. It was, and nobody caught it for, I think 6 months or something. Like it was a
for
long time.
$300,000, they didn't catch it.
$300,000 worth of lawyer time to sit there and be like, "Wait, none of this is real. Like, where are you citing this? Like,
I
where are you
guarantee
citing
you,
this?"
and then at the end of the day, it wasn't a real lawyer. The lawyer probably found out because they put the responses
They put it
into
in
an
AI.
AI, and the AI is
Yeah.
like, by the way, none of this is
Yeah.
true. We made up.
Oh my goodness. Can you
But
imagine? Anyway.
I can
Oh,
imagine because we're probably going to end up fighting a AI lawyer at some point because one of them is going to listen to this freaking show and be like, actually, Frank,
yeah.
it's
They're
the
gonna be like,
death penalty for
Frank
you.
said I can watch people on the TV.
Yeah, yeah. Frank said I could do it. Anyway, so back to the point of
Yes, the
TVs,
TVs.
the
Yeah.
TVs. The question comes up then: what can you do about it? There's a couple different things that you can do. First, there's privacy settings within your TVs that
Yes.
usually, while incredibly hidden, do exist that you can turn this type of ACR off. And it's important to know that, like, legally, this is required at this point based on precedent. What has happened is that the precedent was set wherein I think Vizio lost against New Jersey or something. That and Samsung I think got in hot water too because they weren't allowing people to turn this off, and it was deceptive practices on how they presented the actual collection as well. This was back in 2017. So you should have the capability in your TV or your device to actually turn this off. However, that might not always keep you as completely safe as we've discussed on the show in the past. So what else can you do? Well, there's a couple different things you can do. And my favorite thing to do is get a decent VPN, as we've discussed, and use that VPN to mislead the actual organizations collecting this information, or that may be collecting it regardless of whether you said to allow it or not. I want to pick your brain on this one, buddy, because there's a lot of different ways to install a VPN, and
Yes.
you can get back in the days when I was a younger man, a man of more time before I was known as Papa. I would install the VPN directly. Man, remember back in 2014 when Netflix was pulling that garbage? And that actually wasn't Netflix. Verizon bought Redbox, and they tried to make Redbox a digital streaming service at the same time. And since
Yes.
Verizon could actually do packet analysis on the packets coming from people's houses, what they did is they identified if it was Netflix or not and would make the connection worse based on it just being Netflix that was being watched.
Dude, this is ringing
Yeah.
a bell
And it
with
was
that connection.
garbage. It was
Yeah.
hot garbage. I hated it. So
Yeah.
what I did, because I had more time back then, was I installed the VPN credentials directly onto my router. So everything that went out of the house, came into the house, was completely encrypted, and voila, suddenly crystal clear Netflix, right? That takes more work for the average person than necessary. I'm going to be honest. These days, what I like to do is download the app on my phone. Like, and we've talked about before. I like Nord here, but anyone can pick whatever they want, and I'll encrypt it that way. And I'll do it more from the end devices, especially since I work from home and there's other people using the internet here. And just it's the same reason not all devices use my Pi hole, right? Because sometimes it messes other people's connections up. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, but what do you think is the best way forward? One, do you think is there anything you have besides VPNs that you recommend in this situation? And two, what type of if you do recommend VPNs as well, what do you suggest for implementation?
Yeah, we've talked about this a few times. The other thing that I bring up all the time is some kind of a DNS blocker or
Oh yeah.
yeah, so like a Pi hole.
Yep.
Or there are private DNS blockers out there that's just a service and you sign up for it. You just make sure that now this is kind of hard still for the average person to do who's not a tech savvy person, but when you're setting up your network, you're just basically changing your DNS server.
I feel like
Everything
we should
else
make
is
help guides sometimes.
let's do it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
should
I'm
we make
down.
help guides? Like, okay,
Yeah.
anyone who's listening or watching, leave a comment if you want a help guide. I mean, if just one person wants it, it might not happen because I'm tired. But like, if a lot of people want it, then maybe we'll make a few help guides. Maybe make some.
Yes, let us know in the comments below.
Yeah,
That's one big thing. The VPN thing is a good idea as well. I mean, there's a lot of people out there who don't quite put as much faith in VPNs these days as they used to. We've seen Nord get hacked before. We've seen
yeah, but it was
some
all
other
useless data.
right. I mean, we've seen other VPNs get hacked as well. So just keep that kind of stuff in mind when you are passing it through. It's not like it's not going anywhere. It's still going to where it's going to, and it's still coming out of somewhere, and that somewhere is owned by somebody else. So just keep that in mind when you're signing up for these kinds of services. That includes the DNS thing, by the way.
Also, that
Unless you're
includes the dark web. By the way, I'm
yeah,
just gonna throw that
that's
out
right.
there. Everyone thinks Tor, not everyone, but a lot of people think Tor is the ultimate solution. You don't know who owns those nodes. You don't
That's
know who
right.
owns those Tor nodes. And also,
I
just
mean,
hosting a Tor node can make you look like you're doing a lot of sketchy stuff.
yeah,
See,
I
if
would
ev-
not. I
you
would
know what?
never host a
If I have a
tornado.
recommendation for people watching slash listening today, don't set up your own Tor node at your house, and don't let rando people on the internet, pretend like they're you coming out because you don't know what they're doing or the kind of stuff they're looking at, and the cops will come to your house. So don't do it.
I think I talked to you about this once. We had a guy who I used to work with when I was in the military who was like applying to be a Tor exit node. And I was like, in no way, shape, or this was like 2010. In 2010, I was like, no way, shape, or form should you be doing any of that. That's a terrible idea. What I should have told him to do was buy Bitcoin instead. However, I didn't know what Bitcoin was until
Now you
I should have
should have made
told him
him do
so.
it. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
if anyone wants to like, there's a difference between going on the dark web and being an actual portal to the dark web. Don't be
Hmm.
that portal. It's unnecessary. There's a
Hmm.
lot of other people out there, and also think about it when you're using it. Think about the type of person who wants to be a node for the dark web. All right. So, listen, I'm not saying it's a bad service or it's a bad internet or a bad whatever net we want to call it these days, but I'm also saying there's not too much good going on there. I mean, yeah, not too much the average person needs to do on the dark.
It is a good place to anonymize yourself for certain things. Like if you're whistleblowing, the New York Times has like,
Yeah.
source, anonymization through the dark web. for specific countries that try to silence their people. It's a good way for those folks to be able to get information out of their country in order to let the
Not
world know what's
debating that.
actually going
Yep.
on.
This all
Lots
sounds
of
like the average person, Dustin.
right, yeah. It might
Just
be.
saying.
You never know. You're not a whistleblower until you are, Frank. So
Well, that's what they have Telegram for now and Signal.
that's true.
I'm
There are
just
better ways to do this
there's
now. There are
easier
better ways.
ways to do it and
Yeah,
whatnot. I mean, and those things are successful when you have entire countries that are trying to ban it. By the way, that's
yeah.
how you know. I mean, you don't have entire countries. Or maybe there are. I haven't kept fully abreast, but like you can use Tor anywhere. But like when people when you have an entire regime that's like you can't use this in this country, then maybe it's worth looking into. I don't
Yeah,
know if that's the best piece of
100%.
advice, but yeah,
No, I think it's okay. I think it's a good piece of advice. And one more thing on the TVs. In doing some research for this episode, when I was trying to find that video, what I did find were hundreds, if not thousands, of videos of people on YouTube showing you for a specific TV how to turn those privacy settings
yeah.
on or off. So they're like, yeah, it's hidden, but here's what you need to do. There are a couple like other like just hey, if you turn this particular setting off, it'll make your TV last twice as long as well. And it's like a brightness function kind of thing that happens. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool too. So there's all kinds of like great video. YouTube has great tutorials. Make sure, obviously vet the sources there as well. Make sure that it's a reputable person or someone that or it's doing what you want it to do. But there are lots of good how tos for the average Joe or Jane out there on how to get those settings on there.
So here's I think the main takeaway for this week. You're not watching TV anymore. TV watch you. There you go.
With the pinhole camera.
With the
That's
pinhole
right.
with the pinhole camera. But at the same time, that just doesn't mean don't stop watching TV and whatnot. I think Dustin and I have
Keep
discussed more than
watching
once
TV at all
at
costs.
all
We
costs.
work for
Do what
NBC.
it
No,
says. Do what it
we do
says.
not work for NBC.
Yeah, I know, right?
Um,
Go ahead.
yeah, no, totally. And look, there are so many things out there. Like we're always on our phones. We're always on our. There's a screen everywhere, right? There is input for data brokers everywhere. Your TV is maybe the last place you might have expected it, but it's still there. And any kind of digital service these days, I would treat them all equally as not nefarious. That's not the right word, but suspect as something that might be leaking your personal data or personal information about you to an organization or to the highest bidder. And that's a really important distinction to make. Most organizations are going to be somewhat responsible with your data. They're going to, especially if they're publicly traded, they're going to have policies and procedures, and they're going to have to alert you if something happens, like if there's a data breach or something along those lines. Or if they're selling your data, they're going to have to tell you who they're selling that data to. Those are requirements for a lot of organizations because they're trying to be ethical, right? That's not always the same for someone who might buy the organization if it goes bankrupt, including the data, or someone who hacks into the organization. So these are all things just to take into consideration because we all live in this digital world now. We all kind of have to participate now. It's not really an option to opt out, although there are some people who I'm sure who would disagree with me, but they're not watching this thing anyway. So
No,
nothing
they're
to do.
actively competing to be on the television show Alone, which is my new super hyperfixation. Like I don't know
But
how
just
we
keep
made
that
it
in
as a
mind.
species, by the way. Watching that show alone, like people can't make it like 90 to 100 days with just like nature. And I'm like, how did caveman do it, man? I don't get it. It's like the fact that we've made it this far, like I would be dead on that show within like, the first week. I'd probably find the closest bear and be like, it's time. Eat me. Like,
They
but people,
they were into it, Frank. They were the cavemen were. You could get to that. You just have to do a little bit of training at a time. You can get there. Look, you're already growing your beard out.
oh yeah. Okay. Now I'm an outdoorsman. Yes. I'm ready for
You're
my
halfway there, and you got a
episode.
flannel on too. Like,
I'm
come on,
ready for
man.
my episode and a half of Alone. The first episode is the introduction episode of all the contestants. Halfway through the second one, I've been out and alone for 2 hours and I'm ready to go home. So, yes,
It's cold, and I'm hungry. I
yeah,
don't want to go.
exactly. They put these people in the Arctic Circle. But yes, you're right. Unless you're going to be a complete shrew or hermit or Ted Bundy or that was the Unabomber, right? Or was Ted Bundy that other
Luddite.
guy?
Ted Bundy was the mass murderer.
Yeah, he's also equally baddie, still baddie. Yeah, yeah. Or the
Serial killer,
Unabomber.
still bad. He lived in the 70s and 80s.
They made a
And
show
then
about him.
Dick Kaczynski.
Ted Kaczynski. Yeah, that was the day. Yeah. I'm pretty sure he didn't watch too much TV. Or whoa.
He lived in a shack.
What if he watched too much and that's what sent him to the shack? I don't
He
know.
obviously watched bomb making tutorials,
Way too many.
or he
Way too
read a book.
many. Yeah.
Could have been that.
Either way.
Anyway.
Anyway, that's the show for this week. Thanks,
Yeah.
everyone.
We're gonna add on
Um,
Ted Kaczynski.
and,
Oh,
and
man.
and until next time, what do we tell him, Dustin?
Keep on cybering,
Keep on cybering. See
especially
you.
with those TVs.
Yeah, well, especially on TV. See you next week.